Men chase, boys beg, but legends walk away. When you stop running after a woman, you trigger something she never expected. Her world shifts. Her sense of control begins to crumble. You are not just leaving her life. You are withdrawing your energy, your validation, your attention, and with it, you strip away the very fuel that fed her ego. What follows is not love. It is the void left by your absence. This is the beginning of her unraveling and the awakening of your strength. In this video, we will break down what truly happens in her mind when you walk away, not from a place of bitterness, but from a place of clarity. Through the lens of Stoic discipline and emotional insight, we'll expose the hidden mechanisms of manipulation and reveal the power that lies in silence, detachment, and self-mastery. Listen closely. What you're about to hear could be the difference between staying stuck and walking free. 1. Rationalization and rebound. This is where her mind, overwhelmed by self-doubt and the unfamiliar weight of rejection, begins to twist the truth to protect her ego. She cannot accept that she lost control. She cannot admit that you were the one who walked away, not with anger, not with weakness, but with strength and finality. So she rewrites the story. She tells herself that you were too needy, too emotional, too obsessed. She tells her friends you were never really a man of value, that she was the one who left first, that you were the problem. These are not statements of clarity. They are shields built to protect her from the truth. And the truth is this: she lost a man who was different, a man who saw through the games, a man who had the courage to detach. But instead of facing that, she runs, not into solitude, not into healing, but into the arms of another man, a rebound, a distraction, someone weaker, easier, someone who will worship her without requiring her to grow. This new man becomes a placeholder, a bandage over a wound she doesn't want to treat. She posts pictures with him, smiles that feel forced, captions that scream confidence but whisper desperation. She wants you to see it. She wants you to feel jealous. But you don't. You remain unmoved because you understand the truth, that her new relationship isn't built on love. It's built on fear. The fear of being alone, the fear of irrelevance, the fear of losing what she never truly appreciated. And slowly, that fear turns to resentment, not towards you, but towards the new man, because he didn't make her earn his presence. He didn't challenge her. He didn't command her respect. And deep down, she knows he isn't you. He's a mirror of what she used to control. And women do not respect what they can easily possess. So the attraction fades. The spark dies. And before long, she starts to pull away from him too, searching again for the thrill, for the edge, for the power struggle that once existed when she was in your orbit. But now, that orbit is closed. You are gone, detached, centered. And as she realizes, she traded something rare for something convenient. Regret begins to consume her, not because she wants you back, but because she finally understands what she lost. A man who didn't just walk away, but never looked back. A man who didn't just leave, but leveled up. That is the power she never saw coming. And it is the one thing she will never forget. 2. Shock and denial. This is the moment her mind begins to unravel. And it all starts with silence. Not the silence of weakness or confusion, but the silence of a man who has made a decision, a man who no longer chases, no longer explains, no longer seeks to be understood. You simply walk away, not to manipulate, not to provoke, but to reclaim yourself. And at first, she doesn't know how to process it. She tells herself stories to maintain the illusion of control. She assumes it's temporary, that you'll come back like all the others. She's seen this pattern before. Men walking away, only to return days later with apologies, with desperation, with need. But something in her gut feels different now. There's no message, no angry outburst, no attempt to make her understand what she lost. Just distance, stillness, presence without pursuit. And this unsettles her more than any words ever could. She begins watching your every move, checking your online status, looking at who you follow, what you post, what you like. She looks for clues, for cracks, for signs that you're hurting, that you're faking it. She posts pictures designed to make you react, half-truths, smiles, and captions soaked in subtle provocation, but you remain still. She sends a text, just one word, just enough to invite a response, but none comes. And now, for the first time, she's not sure what to do. The rules she played by no longer apply. The emotional hooks she once used to pull you back no longer work. And in that space where attention used to flow, all she finds is emptiness. Her confidence starts to erode. She replays your last conversations. She analyzes your silence. She scrolls through your old photos and asks herself the question she never imagined she'd be forced to confront. Did I go too far? Did I lose him for real? And that thought alone stings more than she's willing to admit. Because you were never supposed to be the one who left. You were supposed to stay, to chase, to validate her worth. Instead, you walked, not with hatred, not with revenge, but with clarity. And that clarity, the unwavering certainty in your absence, is what shakes her to her core. She starts to look in the mirror more often, picks apart her appearance, compares herself to the women in your comments. She tries to convince herself she's fine. She'll even say it to her friends. He's just being dramatic. He'll be back. But her voice cracks, because part of her knows, deep down, she senses it. This time, the script has changed. This time, the man who used to orbit around her has become his own sun, and her attempts to pull him back into her gravity have failed. That's when denial begins to collapse. Slowly, painfully, the confidence she wore like armor begins to fall apart. Not because of anything cruel you did, but because you stopped giving her something she had grown addicted to: your attention, your pursuit, your need. Now, left alone with her thoughts, she begins to feel the emptiness behind the illusion. The power she once held is gone, and in that absence, she begins to realize, perhaps for the first time, that the man she dismissed was the one who held the strength she never saw coming. 3. Self-doubt and reflection. This is the stage where her mask begins to crack, not just in front of others, but in the mirror, after the shock fades and her denial begins to lose ground. She is left with a void she cannot fill, a silence she cannot control. She no longer hears your voice, no longer sees your name lighting up her phone, and that absence begins to feel permanent. At first, she fights it, tells herself she's fine, tells her friends she's better off. She posts stories with carefully chosen filters, angled smiles, fake laughter. But behind every post is a question she cannot silence. Why hasn't he come back? Why hasn't he broken yet? And that single unanswered question triggers a storm of insecurity. The woman who once thrived on being desired now finds herself doubting everything: her looks, her value, her place in your world. She examines herself relentlessly, stands longer in front of the mirror, scrutinizes every detail, wonders if you've already replaced her. If another woman now receives the words and attention she once took for granted, she begins scrolling through your photos, looking for someone in the background, watching who comments, who likes, who you follow. It becomes obsessive, because she's not just looking for you, she's looking for proof that she still matters. But she finds none. Your silence is unshakable, your presence unreachable. And in that distance, something inside her begins to fracture. She no longer feels in control of the narrative. The confidence she once wore, like armor, begins to crumble. Her internal dialogue changes. Maybe I was too harsh. Maybe I pushed him too far. Maybe I mistook his patience for weakness. And now he's gone. That thought alone can be unbearable, because for the first time, she feels what most men feel constantly: rejection. A door closing without explanation, a bond breaking without repair. And this isn't the kind of rejection she's used to. It's not the kind that fades after a few drinks or a rebound conversation. It lingers. It echoes, because it came from a man who didn't just leave. Evolve. And that realization forces her into reflection, not the kind she can escape with distractions or flattery, but the kind that arrives when the lights are off and she's alone with her thoughts. She starts to replay moments where she was cold, dismissive, or manipulative, times where you showed care and she met it with indifference. And now those memories don't feel powerful. They feel like missed chances, wasted moments, opportunities to connect that she crushed beneath ego and pride. The worst part, she begins to see that you weren't weak. You were patient. You weren't desperate. You were devoted. You weren't obsessive. You were present. And she destroyed that, not because she wanted to, but because she didn't believe you'd ever leave. And now that you have, she can't undo it. The damage is done, and no matter how many times she replays the past, she can't rewrite it. That power, the power to walk away and never look back, belongs to you now, and it haunts her. Because in losing you, she didn't just lose a man. She lost the mirror that showed her what true strength looked like. A man who refused to be controlled. A man who valued himself more than her approval. And that, more than anything, forces her to face the truth. Not about you, but about herself. This is the power most men never discover. The power to walk away, not to punish, not to manipulate, but to protect your energy, your mind, and your peace. Once you stop chasing, once you stop explaining, once you stop begging to be seen, you become a man who no longer plays someone else's game. You become the one thing she cannot control. And in that silence, you reclaim what was always yours, your worth. Understand this. Women do not love men. They can manipulate. They do not respect men who submit to emotional chaos. They are drawn to presence, to strength, to calm authority. When you walk away with discipline and finality, you reveal the difference between lust and power, between illusion and truth, between noise and purpose. You are not here to prove yourself. You are here to master yourself. So remember this. When you stop chasing her, you start attracting everything that aligns with the man you were meant to become. Be the man who walks in silence, who acts with reason, who is not afraid to lose what does not value him. Because once you become that man, you will never lose again. If this message reached you, if it reminded you of who you are, comment below, "I am unshakable." And if you want this truth to reach other men who need to wake up, subscribe now. Let them hear it. Let them rise. Let them reclaim what they forgot. The path of strength begins the moment you choose yourself,